You're listening to All In the Morning. Common Sense Radio.
Yes, you are, everybody.
Good morning, you bunch of
We're
drunks.
trying to drag Sean Hannity into the whole sexual harassment thing, so we'll follow up on that. His response is as it should be, and as Bill O'Reilly should have been, but we'll follow up on that for you. Also, Ted Nugent, to his credit, says, hey, there were people there who wanted me to flip off the portrait, and I didn't do it. So.
Could have been worse.
I was being really good. All right, you all heard Sam's call earlier about the effort to get rid of the prevailing wage in Missouri. The prevailing wage, in very simple terms, is a wage that is for individuals who are doing public works projects and things of that nature that are taxpayer funded or that are anything, structural, schools, firehouses, bridges, you name it. And a prevailing wage is set to make sure that you're not just doing the lowest bid, essentially. Some people want to get rid of that. They think it's too much government interference. But there are other people, some of them are surprising individuals to me, because I thought, well, I thought you would want the prevailing wage to go away and be whatever. But that's not the case with Emily Martin, who is the president of Ashinger Electric.
Ashinger.
I figured I had a 50-50 chance to get that right. Even after asking you about it before I went on the air. And Len Toenjes, who is the president of the Associated General Contractors of Missouri. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, from your perspective, Emily, why is this important to keep in terms of the prevailing wage?
It's important for a number of reasons, but one of which is that we buy public works projects based purely upon low bid. So I submit a price to build a new school. Somebody opens all of those envelopes in a public opening, and whoever's the lowest numbers is the one that gets the job. There's no qualifications-based buying by the state. And so by eroding the prevailing wage, we're going to just turn this into a completely low-price bidding opportunity for public works, which is going to allow, it's going to create an eroding of the public standard of what we pay construction workers in this area.
That's interesting, Len, because I had no idea in this case that it was already a fact that the lowest bidder is already taken.
Well, the low bid is taken, and whether you're a union contractor or an open shop contractor, they all have to compete for the low price. But one of the things that's really critical for this is a protection of the workers. This sounds like a business issue, but it's so much of a worker issue to make sure that all the employers are playing by the same rules, that all the employers are treating their employees somewhat in a similar manner when it comes in terms of compensation, whether it's wages and fringes, whatever it is. It really makes sure that the quality of life in Missouri is protected for the average middle-class construction worker.
Because ultimately, you would see a certain depression of wages if you just had any company from Texas popping up here, whatever. And Emily, from a standpoint of a taxpayer issue, because as a taxpayer, I actually want to be able to assure some degree of quality in the work that is being done, and so when I'm as I am I'm a conservative, and you grapple with these issues all the time because is a prevailing wage are we Venezuela all of a sudden because we're setting wages, and I'm in my own mind as a taxpayer, I don't want a fly-by-night operation building a bridge that I'm paying for. And I don't want a fly-by-night operation building a school that I'm paying for that maybe my kids are going to as well.
Agreed. And that's one of the things that people, I think, don't understand about the prevailing wages. Actually, it started as a federal Davis-Bacon, and Republicans are the party that put the Davis-Bacon law into effect. And one of the main reasons was to keep local work local. The prevailing wage is determined by contractors. We submit the wage we pay for the classification of workers we employ every year to the state. And then the state says, okay, what's the wage that's paid the most often in each county, and that determines the prevailing wage. So that's a broad variety of contractors, open shop contractors, union contractors that are submitting those wages. So the wage is reflective of what the community standard is for construction. Then that also reflects what are the community standards for how construction is performed, code compliance, safety, things of that nature. So the prevailing wage allows us to both maintain the community standards and to make sure that we're also maintaining the community standards for building and safety on construction projects as well.
And Len, the contractors you're representing, the contractors aren't really making any money off of this thing.
The low bid still rules who gets selected for the job. So the contractors really want to keep the prevailing wage for all the reasons that Emily spoke about. It really does make sure that when you go into an area to do a school or a bridge or whatever it may be, that everybody is competing with the same set of rules. So every contractor is shooting for that low bid, wanting to give the public the best price, but that's based on contractor performance. It's not based on beating down the workers. It makes sure that whatever gets paid in that area is the same for every contractor who's competing for that job. The public, in essence, is getting the best project at the most competitive price in the most fair contracting manner.
Yeah, interesting. So then, in the end, we have a Republican-controlled legislature, and they've already passed through right to work. What are the chances that prevailing wage will disappear in this environment? I wasn't really sure. I talked to Rodney Boyd earlier in the month, and he was indicating that there's a strong possibility this wouldn't actually happen. But what is your sense?
I think that we're concerned. A bill has already passed the House, and I testified at a Senate committee hearing on that bill. So we're concerned that there's so much misunderstanding around this issue that there hasn't been enough education and time spent seeing what are the real consequences. How does this hurt the taxpayer? How does this hurt our construction quality in this area? And that they haven't taken enough time to determine whether a wholesale gutting is the appropriate thing to do. I gotcha.
It would be interesting to see how this thing rolls out. Rodney had indicated that because right to work passed, that this was too much of a dip.
Well, this is a very complex issue. There are a number of proponents, school districts and folks like that, who feel like this is somehow going to save them millions of dollars when in fact it's not. And I think there's a misunderstanding that we are working hard to educate the legislators. We have sent all sorts of things. There's a website, Protect Mo Families. There's all sorts of things that we're trying to put out there to make sure that the public and they can communicate up to their legislators to stop this thing.
Well, we've achieved one thing. We have schools that are concerned about taxpayer dollars. But anyway, I'm not going to get you. I'm not going to get you involved in all
Only
this.
Only for construction.
Exactly. That's what it seems like. At least.
Exactly.
Emily Martin, Ashinger Electric Company. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
and Len
you.
Toenjes, AGC. Thank you so much as well. And best of luck. And we'll keep following this.
Thank you for the
Appreciate you
opportunity.
coming into the studio for this.
Sure.